Start the vid. Three, two, one, go.
Hello, hello! This is Ignacy from Portal Games.
Who? Oh, Ignacy, good to see you. This is the Podfather of Gaming, Stephen Bonacore. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 350. And we're recording it on January 2nd, 2025. Board Games Insider is proud to be powered by Board Game Geek. Ignacy, what a amazing thing to see you here after being away, and people have been clamoring for you in my YouTube feed. And look who's not here. The sleepy and hungover Corey Thompson. I don't know where he is. He said he was going to be here. I texted him, but hey, this is great. Maybe he'll show up. Who knows?
Three is a magic number, but there is no three of us today. Glad to be here. I'm super grateful for all the fans who are asking to bring me back. We rescheduled recording times for the upcoming months, so hopefully it will work better with me. Once again, I appreciate our listeners. I appreciate, of course, you and Corey, uh, who left space for me so I can shine again after these many weeks.
We put
Uh,
we left a little space there right for you. Tell us
yes.
what's happening at Portal Games. You got to have a lot to bring us up to speed on.
Yeah, 350 episodes. Our fans know what's happening. Our listeners know it's PortalCon time. We are preparing for
Portal
PortalCon.
Con, yeah.
PortalCon again. Once again, we will rent space at the stadium in Poland, in Chorzów. We will make announcement. We will make announcement for Polish market as always, and we will announce the new titles for our American market and our worldwide distribution. We will announce a few games, so not one, not two, so about three, around three games.
That's nice.
Um, um, yes, so of course the whole team is preparing most of my team is preparing obviously the Polish announcement and all the video trailers and all this kind of stuff. I'm preparing press release for our American audience. So starting the year very busy, and this is like a running meme in the office that we come back to the office after a holiday, after Christmas. We want to chill out, and there's no chill out because PortalCon is happening, and everybody is working very, very hard to prepare everything. Mm, uh, we 2024 was for Portal Games the biggest year in years in terms of the how many games we released, because we released Printing Press, AI Space Puzzle, Resurgerance. We delivered finally Robinson Crusoe and the Book of Adventures, and we delivered Torgal. We did expansions to our games. My book released. So many things happened. This 2025 will be slower, but still we will have amazing, amazing games. So looking forward to start talking about these new games as soon as we announce them. And then we just chatted before the recording. Nuremberg, week after PortalCon, I'm going to Nuremberg, so we will talk about this in upcoming episodes, I guess.
Very, very cool. Over here at the Podfather of Gaming, it's been quiet on the gaming front. Uh,
Oh,
a lot of family stuff, a lot of traveling. So I haven't done a lot of gaming, though. You haven't heard this. I've been doing a lot of board game arena stuff, so online, and a lot of playing Terraforming Mars. I had reached out to the fans to say, if anybody wants to play and challenge me in Terraforming Mars, let's do this. Let's throw down. So I was playing at 1.6 games at once. It was
okay.
pretty epic. But so much fun. I've rediscovered how great that game is. And the different strategies and all. So I'm still going to leave that challenge out there. I'm actually literally down to like one game now, which is kind of quiet. That's good. But I'm going to leave the challenge out there. We can continue doing that for a while if anybody wants to reach out and play a game. We're going to start the travels up again. January is going to be a huge month of travel for me, amazingly enough, and to some very weird-ish places. Literally, right after this podcast is recorded, and after I send the files over to Jake to start mixing them for us, Paula and I are going to get in the Corvette and we're going to drive up to Orlando, Florida. What are we doing in Orlando, Florida? Well, we haven't been there really for a while. And it's, close, 2.5 hours. We have a VIP tour of the Kennedy Space Center. How cool
Oh,
is that? So they don't do this often, but every once in a while they announce they're going to do a bunch of these. So I went like, oh, wait, we're free. Boop, boop, boop. VIP tour. So we're going to be doing that tomorrow. And then the next day, we're going to go to Epcot, right? With Disney World Epcot Park. I haven't been there in a while. I love walking the different countries and eating all the food and drinking all the beer and the wine. I love all that. So that's going to be fun. We're going to meet Andrew Parks, noted game designer there. Him and his family are coming down. So we can spend some time there gaming and hanging out with them and going to Disney Springs. And fun fact, I've said it here on the podcast, Andrew Parks is the stepbrother of my girlfriend, Paula Milano. Her mother and his father married later in life. So he's a member of the family and he's just a great guy. And hopefully Play to Z might be doing some work with him at some point. We'll see what happens there.
perfect.
After that, I stay here for just a little while, and then I head to Toronto because that's where you want to be in the middle of January in Toronto,
What the hell?
Canada. Yeah, you haven't been here for a while. I've been talking about it. Corey's going. There's a gaming event up there
Okay.
that we got invited to. It's a private event that someone that runs up there. Just a fun thing. But I just cannot believe that I will be there. The only worst place maybe to be in January is Poland, which, by the way, I should
It's not that
mention.
bad. It's not
It's
that bad.
What's the temperature in Poland? Like,
We
now-ish,
we are
high
discussing
temperature.
in
That's
Celsius.
fine, House. I can
Seven,
translate.
seven right
7?
now.
That's not so bad. That's like 42 Fahrenheit-ish, maybe. Yeah,
It's okay-ish. It's
50
okay-ish.
ish is okay, right? Yeah, I'm probably 44. Wow, is that normal? It doesn't get colder there?
It
I
should be
mean,
colder. It's
uh,
warmer than usual.
okay, well, thank you. And guess what? In Toronto, it's always
Colder
cold.
than usual.
It's going to be -2 Celsius on the first day I arrive or second day. I like really that's 19 degrees Fahrenheit. Yes. Anyway, you know what? I also want to press this point here. I'm about to talk about a guest of honor. I've never been invited to PortalCon. I've done videos for you at PortalCon. Maybe you should have me as a guest of honor at PortalCon next year. I think you'd get more people showing up.
I think you are right.
You know,
I
maybe
would,
we
I
can
would,
figure
I
this
would,
out.
yeah, I would make a note about this great idea, but I don't have a pen here in my office.
Okay,
Believe it or not.
I'll send you an email for 1 year in advance. Invite me. All right. But speaking of that, right after I get back from Toronto, I head to Virginia Beach, Virginia, to be the guest of honor at MarsCon. Now they invited me due to the tie-in with Terraforming Mars. It's a gaming slash geek slash it's a general convention, 3-day convention. I'll be there from the 16th through the 20th of January, and reaching out here. So if anybody's in the area, please come to. It's not an expensive con. If you live in that area, come to MarsCon. Anybody who hears my voice doing this, I will buy you a drink at MarsCon, adult beverage or not. If you can hear my voice, let's hang out. I have nothing to do there except hang out and have a good time with friends. So MarsCon, Virginia Beach, January 16th through 20th. And then after that, I head over to Louisiana for a game event. So that's going to be fun as well. Quick shout out to Play to Z Games, and we did very well with the Tales of the Arabian Nights. You can still late pledge, and I highly recommend you check it out because Tales of the Arabian Nights is a classic storytelling game. Please go check that out at GameFound. You can put in Tales of the Arabian Nights or Play to Z, and you'll find it. Amazing game, and it'll deliver this year for you, probably mid year because it's ready to go.
Nice.
In the meantime, let's get to the event deck. All right, Ignacy, it is a very slow news week. But so let's take a news story that actually dropped a little while ago, but I waited till you got here. It's about Portal Games, and you announced that you are ending the partnership with GTS distribution after a decade of collaboration. I'll read a little bit from ICV2 here, and then you can take it from there. Portal Games announced it will end its partnership with GTS Distribution after nearly a decade of collaboration between the companies. Starting in 2015, GTS Distribution brought several of Portal's most popular titles to North America, including Robinson Crusoe, Detective, Imperial Settlers, and so you distribute in the U.S. somewhat through PSI, right? You still have a relationship there, but not exclusively through PSI. So why the change and not going through GTS any longer?
Yeah, so I always was saying here in the podcast and everywhere else that I'm for open trade. So I was working with PSI and I was working with five distributors. Like
Sure.
whoever wants to sell my games, we have a
Yeah.
deal.
Sure. That's a
uh,
great idea.
that yeah, but at some point with this, I would say state of the market, like we were reporting about this for many years already, how the distribution changed in America, how Asmodee was first with own alliance, then they created their own distribution, and all the distributors were going through different stages and different turbulences. And at some point, we decided, and mostly I decided, that we will focus on the distributors who know our brand very well, who can promote our games and sell our games, and not just have them in the offer along with 10,000 other SKU without any time to care for this title. So, of course, long story short, we stopped working with GTS because we are not happy. But of course, I will not publicly say why I was not happy, and I was not going to publicly say what was not super awesome for us. But basically, we decided that let's focus on those partners who care for us the best. And let's not work with people with the distributors who don't do the best service for us.
Oh, okay. Well, that's very honest of you to talk about it that way. And it is very common to shift the distributors that you use, especially in a country as large as the United States, right? So,
We reported
PSI,
many times. We reported many times that the one publisher is doing exclusivity with this distributor. Then they end up exclusivity and they open and then sign. So this is for us is ongoing news for different publishers, and every distributor wants to have the publishers in the offer and they offer them different services. So yes, it's ongoing change because we all are looking for the best deals, publishers and distributors. And when we meet, mm, we have a deal.
right? Very, very cool. Um, what else do we have here, Ignacy? We have that Sony has decided to invest in Kodakawa, 50 billion yen, that's about $315 million, instead of acquiring them. And why we even talking about this? It's because we mentioned it that Sony was going to be coming in and taking a and buying the company, but now they've changed their mind. And here from ICV2, we have Sony and Kodakawa, which revealed in November that Sony was in talks to acquire manga, light novel, tabletop game, and English language anime news publisher Kodakawa. They have announced instead that a full acquisition at this time is not going to happen, but Sony is investing about $315 million in new shares of Kodakawa, making Sony Kodakawa the largest shareholder, which with around 10% ownership. This alliance is expected to not only further strengthen our IP creation capabilities, but also increase our IP media mix options with Sony support for global expansion, allowing us to deliver our IP to more users around the world, Kodakawa Corporation CEO Takeshi Natsuma said in a statement. So it's just a change when we heard that this was happening. Corey and I were talking about the fact that a big company was actually coming in and buying a company that has a lot of board games in their catalog. So this was a big thing. It's changed, but they're still investing, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, and I have no clue. So this is maybe a super not good guess. But the question is if this is possible to have these little Japanese games based on the IPs that Sony has, because Sony has a ton of IPs
Right.
from the video games. But I have no clue if this happens. But I would play some small Japanese game based on the God of War or something like that.
Very, very interesting. The next one is in Spanish, Ignacio. Did you put this here? Maldito Games joins the DeVere
Yes,
group?
but I have English version, so we
You
can.
do.
So either you report on the Spanish news, either me with my Slavic English report in English. Like, what was the best choice for us?
Let's. I don't speak a word except I only speak bar Spanish, you know? Una cerveza, por favor. That's all
Oh,
I know.
nice.
Yeah, yeah, that's about it. I can go to the bar and get a drink. So, you tell us about this. It's very interesting, right? Because DeVere is the largest Spanish publisher out there, and Maldito Games, much smaller, is going to be joining the group. So, tell us about it.
Yeah, Maldito Games, Portal Games is working with Maldito Games for years. They are these, we could call them like a geek publisher, like all the heavy games, these
Mm.
Euro games that are very high in the rankings on Board Game Geek. Maldito is doing them in Spanish. And as Steven mentioned, DEVIR is one of the biggest European publishers
Hmm.
these days. So we report in this podcast on acquisitions by Asmodee or by Sony. So let's make a difference and and change and make information about the acquisition by DeVir Group. So the official press release says from Maldito, they say. I'm delighted to share with you that Maldito Games and its exceptional catalog are now part of the DeVir Group. This is a strategic step forward in our mission to strengthen our presence in the tabletop games industry and deliver even greater opportunities for the titles we bring to players worldwide. And then there is information that Xavier Garriga will continue as a publishing manager for the DeVir Group, and Francesco Alamo, this is the person I was working with for years from Maldito. Francesco will remain the editor of Maldito's games, ensuring the quality, consistency, and creativity that have defined Maldito's success to date. And the information, of course, goes on and on and on. The bottom line is that people working in the Maldito remain in the position. So
Right?
still we are working with Francesco. Still Francesco brings to Spain the best Euro games and the best heavy games to Spain. But now with the presence of DeVir, they have a better distribution, of course. They have a better sales team, etc., etc. So this classical acquisition story, but this time happening in Spain.
Yeah, and it's funny, people don't realize how big DeVere is. I mean, they are a very large company. Obviously, they dominate the market in Spain, and I bet extend into Portugal, and of course onto the continent as well. And they specialize in games in Spanish, but they do all their games in English as well. They have their own distribution network, as far as I understand.
Absolutely. Every SN, they are the big part of the races that SN, as I said, one of the biggest European publishers these days.
Right, right. So that's all the news. Oh, by the way, that came off of michigeek.com. So that's we like to mention where we're getting our news stories from. That's all the news. It's a very light news week, as one would expect. It is the holiday season. The news will ramp up as we get deeper into January. So right now, let's get over to strategy and tactics. Ignacy, since you weren't around, we've got some things that have piled up for you here. So our buddy, Vitruvian gamer Kurt Van Hoyveld, he asked it all the way back in April. For some reason, you haven't been on for a couple of months, but when we scraped it, it was an April question. He says, "You're a big fan of comics, Ignacy." You had a short conversation the day before posting this question. So, what are the insiders' favorite comic series? What are our favorite comic series? Some hidden treasures. This one is all you because I was never a comic book guy. I only know my comics from the stuff that was put on TV and in the movies. Ignacy, talk to me.
So before I recommend my favorite comic, one random information. So last year, I started my personal YouTube channel because why not?
Why
And
not?
I started vlogging about the comic books because it's my passion. And soon after, I became the biggest YouTube channel in Polish YouTube for comic books. And I'm now the most influential comic book reviewer in Poland.
That's
So
amazing. Is that true?
seriously.
That is amazing.
I don't know why, but basically it grew like crazy, and now I have like thousands of views on my comic book videos. So I have a second career, comic book vlogger in Poland.
Nice. You got to get
And
them to cross over to board games now. Make sure
yes,
they all cross over.
and for the comic books, of course, this is exactly the situation like with the board games. You have a party games, you have a heavy Euro games, you have Ameritrash games, and the same, of course, with the comic books. Like you have all the genres, all the different styles of the comic books. The one that I value the most, and I have like a special big edition on my shelf, is Lock and Key. Lock and Key. There is a Netflix TV show
I
based on
watched
these
it.
comic books.
I watched that. Yep.
I hate it.
I only liked the first season. After that, it went off the rails.
The comic book is very dark, for adult, very grim. The Netflix TV series is like more for the young adult, for the young audience, so it is a lighter in the theme. But Lock and Key, please check out. This is six issues, volumes. You buy one and you will buy the rest of them because it's insane. Lock and Key, my recommendation. And if you speak Polish, visit my YouTube channel and I recommend comic books every month.
That's great, man. I hope you get some crossover because obviously that would be great if you're getting so many views. So cool stuff. Scott V, he's at Scott Dawn One. What can we do to get Ignacy to see the light of day and get some of his games on Board Game Arena? Explain to him how more publicity will increase sales. He can try an old game and a new game and watch his physical sales copies go up. If he is worried about the cost, there are developers out there on the site that will do it for free to make a name for themselves or in the hopes of doing further games for a publisher for a small fee. Surely you can give him some data from other games like Terraforming Mars, La Granja. So many publishers can't be wrong, as there are probably close to 1,000 games now on the site. I know from experience that I have bought games from trying them on BGA, as have family members and fellow gamers that have all used you've tried them before they buy Approach. Ignacy, do you have no games? None of your IPs that you actually own are on Board Game Arena?
I have a very complex answer to that question.
Oh, well, that's exactly what we're here for. Board Games Insider, unraveling the industry. Tell us.
So first, I was very vocal for the past 10 years. The all the people who are coders are very delay lovers. Like they love to delay everything. So my beloved coders at Protagonist Digital are working on Imperial Miners for BGA, and we announced it
Oh,
last year at PortalCon. Uh,
ah, very
so
good.
and it's still not ready. So this is one thing. So Imperial Miners will be at Board Game Arena at some point when these lazy Portal Games Digital coders will finish it. The second part of this, my very complex answer, is that in the meantime, other coders that are not Portal Games Digital created a 51st State for Board Game Arena. We actually haven't sent out yet official press release, but it is happening. It will be official now. It's in a beta version, so it is not final, but it is in a playtesting. And around PortalCon, we will send out the official press release that this is happening, and it will be green lighted for the official release. So 51st State most likely will be before Imperial Miners, and then at some point, my beloved Portuguese Digital will release Imperial Miners as well. And then obviously we'll look at the numbers, we'll look at how many people are playing, and then we'll make a
Right.
decision about the follow-up to these games.
Very cool. And it's interesting that Scott, the person who asked the question, Scott Dawn One, he said he made an edit on October 9th. He said 51st State is in alpha testing on Board Game Arena. Great to
Mm,
see. I
So
would
now we are
now
in the
love to
beta,
hear.
yes.
Yes, there you go. So it's perfect. So you're now on the right track, Ignacy. There we go. Jonathan Sarkey, he's at J Sarkey. I was watching the 1% Club game show on Prime and saw a contestant that looked like Leaf. Oh, this is a Corey question. Okay, can't ask this, Corey. You know he blew us off today. It's a Corey question. Let's move over to Jonathan's second question. Uh, He says, Steven, I usually run into you at Gen Con at Caleb Wiley's Magic for a Cause charity magic show. Yes, I did not go this year. So you did not run into me. Didn't go for only other reason I had other things that I was busy to do. And just a huge shout out to Caleb Wiles and Magic for a Cause. This guy is not a professional magician by trade. He actually has another job that he does, and I don't know what it is, and I apologize, Caleb. But he is professional in every way. He just randomly brought me up on stage one of these times, and I did the magic. Obviously, somehow he slipped me a thing. I didn't do, but I didn't know. I got up there, and an egg that he gave me, that was a real egg. I know it was a real egg because I just selected it from a carton, and we broke a couple. They're all real eggs. Became a fake egg, and it was just crazy. Or the other way around. It was fake to begin with, and then it became real. Crazy. The guy's amazing. Anyway, he says, "What are some non-gaming events that you guys try to go to at Gen Con and other conventions to give your brain a break from gaming and indulge your other interests?" That is a great thing. So besides Magic for a Cause, I got to think about it. Ignacy, when you go to a convention, do you pick some other events that you like to do in particular?
I don't, and I'm really disappointed with me that I don't have a time for that because when I look at the Gen Con, especially Gen Con,
Yeah,
you the amount of events there is like you
yeah,
could spend the whole year if they are split, through the year, and it would be every single day something interesting. There are thousands of events. When I was much younger, I always dreamed about coming to Gen Con to be at the True Dungeon, the famous event
yeah.
playing like a LARP version of the D&D. So I miss them because I have to work at the booth. All these amazing events that people are preparing, beautiful stuff. I
Yeah.
wish I have time for that.
And I got to tell you, I don't do a tremendous number of events, although I look for the special ones. I look for the shows and things like that. So the Magic for Cause and Caleb Wiles, he came to my booth once, and we became friends immediately from that point. He invited me to start coming to his shows and things like that. And it's such a great thought. But I tend to find the shows that sound interesting. The puppetry shows at Gen Con are particularly amazing. Like I used to go to the Dice Tower shows. I used to go on stage, of course. Tom used to invite me up on stage, as a sponsor and things like that. So those were great. But one of the things I just like to do, of course, at these conventions is go out for great meals, go out and just bring people to places like the bars and just hang out and socialize. I find the industry parties that I go to, so that's something that everybody can go to. But those are kind of the reasons I go. I go to see friends and make new friends. I've had great stories of just sitting at the yard house at the bar, and all of a sudden people just come up and saying, "Hey, I love what you do. Thank you." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you. How do you know me from which one? Which thing that I've done?" Just to make sure I have the perspective. And then we hang out and we chat for, a half hour. So those are my magical moments. And that also extends to just walking the halls too. William Bricker, he's at Pouchies. He still is at Stronghold Games as the graphic designer and illustrator. He asks, this weekend, we're having a Halloween themed gaming session. This was from October. Starting with Halloween, of course. On or around July 4th, we played Jaws. Thematically, the film takes place over the holiday weekend. Around Veterans Day, we play a war game of some kind. For Christmas, Die Hard. People call Die Hard a Christmas movie. I refuse to believe that. Do you celebrate the holidays with thematic games related to that holiday? And if so, what holiday games do you play? So this is interesting, Ignacy. Do you do this? Do you actually pick holiday themed games and play them around the holidays?
Yes and no. So, if I answer the question literally, I would say no. But if I go deeper into the concept of this question, I would say that, for instance, every holiday, Christmas season time, I invite my kids to play Game of Thrones to just be very mean to each other because we did it back then. I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago. And it became our tradition. So, of course, Game of Thrones is definitely not a Christmas game, but it became our tradition. And for us now, Christmas means that all the kids, all the family is at the table, yelling at each other, backstabbing, and this for us like a tradition. Or, for instance, during the summertime, I have marathon of reading books from my childhood. So once again, it has nothing to do actually with the summer, but my summer read is a tradition. I read books that I read when I was 16 or 15. So yes, I build my own traditions and I have these moments of the year when I do something very particular for years.
That's pretty cool. Um, I have to say that no, not in the slightest. I mean, I guess traditions are that I play certain games with certain people at certain times of the year, but that might mean like, at the WBC with my buddy, my best buddy, Chad, that we gamed in New Jersey for years. We always play War of the Ring, always play at least two War of the Rings. And we also play Dune War for Arrakis this year because it's now he's got it and it's related and same designers, similar mechanics. So, but I don't have at the holidays, I play a holiday themed game, though I think it'd be a really great idea, especially like Halloween, to do some spooky games.
Yeah, yeah.
Betrayal at House on the Hill, one of my absolute favorite broken games in a lot of way. I just love that game, and I should do that. I should, and I'm gonna try that next year. How's that? All right, we're gonna go down to play testing. All right, Ignacy. So Corey, I can't yell at him right now for not being here, but this was his question that he put out there for everybody to answer. And the question that we put up there last week was become a child again for a moment. Tell us what board game you got for Christmas, Hanukkah, the holidays, and why you were so happy, surprised, or excited to get it. And have you played the game yet? Ignacy, we didn't get a lot of answers, probably due to the holidays. I assume more people. We got a dozen answers here. I assume just people were very busy. Not that they didn't get games, because I mean everybody gets some game. Who's a gamer and listens to this show. Does any of these answers do they speak to you?
What speaks to me is the fact that it is true for most of us, and it says, "I got myself," and then the title of the game, and I'm doing the same for years, like this, and my kids, like they think that I am crazy, but I don't care. Like there is this Christmas tree, and I bring my own boxes with my own gifts. They know that there are games and comics books, and I don't care, and I'm like a kid happy. "Oh, I got myself a new game, and this is crazy." So I applaud to everyone who does gifts, the best gifts for themselves is amazing. This one person, Aaron, says, "I got myself the gang, great idea.
The gang is
Diamonds,
great.
great idea. And spots, this one I don't know. We that thought that they'd be easy to table with family during the holidays." So he not only gave himself a game, but then to play with the family. So this is like a best answer I think ever. And I love it.
Very good. Austin said, "My wife gifted me a Feast of Odin. It has been on my wish list for 7 years. Though being out of print at times and other reasons, I never got it. Finally, this year I received it, and she was thrilled to get it for me because finally it was available in our area." And it's interesting. He's from the Netherlands, so maybe it was harder to get there for some reason. Also from the Netherlands, Peter van der Meuren. I gifted myself Slay the Spire, that huge game. And I played this with my son, Act 1 through Act 3. We like the video game, and we also like this co-op board game. Definitely friend of the show, board game fangirl. She says, "I got Men Nefer and have already played it." Do you know Men Nefer? I don't know that name at all.
Yep.
No, that's interesting. I mean, that's an interesting one that not even remotely sounds like something I've heard of.
I gifted my daughter a game called Hit Star. This is a party game about the music, and this is what happened here in this answer. So we opened it during the Christmas. We cracked the rules, which are very simple, and we had a blast. And the moment when you have your whole family at the table after the meal, and you open the game, and everybody is having pure fun, this is like. No, memories forever. And so once again, this Christmas, I had a blast with my family. I had blast playing games. I was so proud that I bought this game, Hitster, because it was a hit for our Christmas. And kudos to everyone who gifted themselves or their close ones games and then play them.
Yes.
Not to put on the shelf, not to whatever. Just open, crack, and invite everyone to the table and have a memories.
Abs- that is absolutely true, right? Open them up, start like fondling them,
Yep.
enjoy the tactile feel that is the physical board game, right? All right, so we're again mentioning his name, Corey. He has put a lot of questions in here for us to use, and the one for this week that we're going to ask you is this: when teaching a game to new players, is it bad for the teacher to win? Ignacy, what do you think? Is it bad for the teacher to win?
So here's my story. It's SN 2008. SN 2008. I'm a young designer from Poland, and we are releasing Witchcraft. And I see approaching to my small booth the team of Board Game Geek, and they ask for the demo. So I run a demo of Witchcraft, and I got so excited that I just crushed them. And then I say, "Oh shit, what I did." Uh, there was a lesson learned, like not too excited, let them play, let them have fun, not just, and I just demolished
Right.
them because I knew the game very well, obviously.
Right, right, right.
Uh, of course, it's a difficult answer because on one hand, the person that you are teaching the game should not have a feeling that you are just playing without concentration, without focus, without willing to win. But on the other hand, if you know the game very well and you've just crushed them, it will not be a good experience. So I would say that you have to balance it somehow. That will be my answer. Like
Yeah.
try your best, but maybe not use all the tricks from your
Right.
sleeve. Like I don't know.
So here's my answer to this question. And I have an anecdote to say, which I think I've told already, but I got to tell it again. I do not believe it's bad for the teacher to win. However, when you're playing the game and teaching the game, what I do, especially with complex games, Terraforming Mars is right there behind me, as you can see. I always give when I'm talking about the game, when we're playing that first game, and there's so much going on. I'll always say, okay, well, it's your turn, and they're looking around. What do I do? What do I do? I'm like, well, these are your options, right? You have this much money that you can do. If you've got cards that have titanium or steel on them, leverage that because you've got a bunch of that. Hey, if you can possibly raise the heat now, you're going to get an extra. I tell them all their options to the extent that they want that, and then they make the choice, be it a good one, be it a bad, whatever they make their choice. So I absolutely push them and show them those options. I consider myself a good teacher when it's games that I really know well, and then certainly that's one that I know very well. I taught Paula, my girlfriend, so well that the first game she beat me by 1 victory point. The second game we played, when I said, "All right, I'm still gonna go slowly, go slowly through it, but I'm not gonna guide her as much." She beat me by 30 victory points, and I was like, "This is BS." I'm so much. I rolled up my sleeves, played a third game, not all in the same exact sitting, but I played the third game with her. She again beat me by a point, and I was so livid. And since then, however, I've beaten her at least as many times. So she might be slightly ahead in wins, but I believe teachers should take it a little easy, as you said in the beginning. But in the end, you gotta go for it. So there you go, Ignacy. Right now, if you remember how to do this, you should
I'll do
take
my
that
best.
question. You
Yes.
should take that question and put it over on Board Game Geek for you people to ask about. Answer our question to you. When you teach a game, is it bad for the teacher to win? Let us know how you feel about it by going over to our guild on Board Game Geek. Find that question and put your answer there. In the meantime, let's go over to final scoring. Thank you all so much for listening and help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts or watch Board Games Insider on the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel. And if you want to be part of this podcast, you can. It's very simple. It all happens on the Guild of Board Game Geek. Become a member, then ask us questions for our strategy and tactics segment, or answer our question to you from the playtesting segment. It's that easy. Please do it. Please interact with us also on all of the social media platforms. The handle is virtually the same everywhere. You can find us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, the new one, Blueski or Blue Sky. And I'm more active there now than any other of those short version things. And YouTube. We are Board Games Insider, Portal Games US, Podfather Gaming, Dice Tower Dish. I'm getting phone call, which I can't take, at Play to Z Games, Above Board TV, and Nerd About Show. Also follow us on social media of your liking, whichever one. We're there, and we're going to interact with you. A special call out, of course, to the YouTube channels, which we are mostly on. That's Portal Game Studio, the Podfather of Gaming, and Above Board TV. Upcoming conventions. While this is a low time for conventions, MarsCon is coming up. Make sure if you're there, if you're in the Virginia Beach area, come on down. Support the local con. Let's hang out. Let's play some games. And, of course, let's grab a drink. Ignacy, he's got PortalCon coming up. What are the dates for PortalCon, Ignacy? I forgot what you said.
January 18th.
Excellent. Be at PortalCon. Find out first about those great announcements. Board Games Insider is professionally edited by Jake Thompson. Thank you, Jake, for being part of the team. And that great voice you hear doing the intro, the outro, all those in-between segments is that of Ray Greenlee. Reach out to him at raygreenleevoiceover.com to do your voiceover work. Ignacy, anything left for us to talk about?
I have one question. Well, where is Corey?
Yeah, I really thought that he would like wake up and be on the show at some point. But it is really early. I'm surprised he didn't. He's never done this.
Can
But
can we say in this situation that I saved the podcast again?
you know what? I would not have done it alone. So you, Ignacy, saved the podcast by coming out of podcast retirement.
Ignacy the Savior. I love it.
Podcasting sabbatical. That's what you were on. There you go. Everybody out there, thank you so much for being a watcher, being a listener. We appreciate you so much. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.